Hey, Alter Everything listeners. We know that turning raw data into insights can be time consuming and challenging, but we've got good news for you. Alteryx can transform your analytics. Alteryx drives positive business outcomes by enabling fast, data driven decisions. And you can try out our products today. Start your 30-day free trial of Alteryx Desktop or the Analytics Cloud platform at alteryx.com/altereverything. Welcome to Alter Everything, a podcast about data science and analytics culture. I'm Megan Dibble, and today I'm talking with Alula Zeryihun and Szykowny from RSM about how they used Alteryx to analyze blockchain data for tax reporting and how they see Alteryx as an important tool in the accounting industry as a whole. Let's get started. Hi, Zach. Hi, Alula. It's great to have you on our podcast today. Could you both give a quick introduction for yourselves for our audience?
Thank you, Megan, for having us. My name is Alula Zeryihun. I'm a financial services tax manager within RSM, a US LLP, focusing on financial services and digital assets here at the firm.
Zach Szykowny, also a manager in our Center for Advanced Tax Technology group at RSM, based out of Chicago. Worked with Alula on crypto, but also do data consulting related to tax technology. So it's all encompassing, including crypto and digital assets.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to have you both on here today. Excited to talk about things that you're working on. Before we jump into that, I'd love to hear about your career backgrounds and progressions, and specifically how you started your journey with Alteryx.
Sure, you want to take it first, Alula?
Thank you, Zach. I was first introduced to Alteryx back in 2018 as an associate. At the time, I was focusing on kind of tax transformation and really enjoyed learning how to use Alteryx to help streamline a lot of processes within our tax business. That eventually turned into opportunities to learn more about data analytics and really adding on additional reporting functionalities and other aspects of Alteryx to better enhance our client services. So that has been my journey. Currently, I'm Alteryx Advanced certified, so went through various trainings and upskilling, and really was fortunate enough to get early on exposure to Alteryx, and I use it on a day-to-day basis. So it's integral to my daily activities in my current role and professional life. So big fan.
It's awesome.
Yeah, no, Alula and I have a very similar type background where I also started in 2018 because I come from a Big Four background, and they introduced it to us there at first. And so, I mean, my background originally was tax compliance, private equity, real estate, partnership tax, and just doing a day-to-day compliance. And then my first introduction was to visual, like Power BI and Tableau. Just asked to do like a couple visualizations, book the tax estimate versus actual visualization for a client. And then because of that, I was asked to use this other new technology that we were being introduced to called Alteryx. And then we were pulled out of the practice to just strictly focus on our tax technology skills and then go back and apply that to the practice. And we've been doing that ever since. Now we are here today with a very interesting use case of that skill set with the digital asset space.
I see that a lot where people are willing to raise their hands to use a tool like a visualization tool or Alteryx. Someone is just willing to learn, and that can start this whole journey into all of a sudden you're talking about your cool Alteryx use case on a podcast. So I
Definitely.
think that's
I
awesome.
love it.
So speaking of the cool Alteryx use case, I'd love to hear how you both are using Alteryx to make sense of blockchain data for your digital asset reporting needs.
Absolutely. So Alteryx actually played a critical role in helping us to make sense of blockchain data. Prior to having access to Alteryx, we had a really huge challenge in terms of making sense of data that is not standardized, that comes from various sources, and
Mhm.
really is complex in its structure, the volume, and like various other aspects of it. And so early on, we started off with an internal RSM sponsored competition where the firm basically said, hey, we want to empower people to innovate. And so come up with great ideas for servicing our clients or doing business differently. And so for us at the time, Zach and I were part of a team that saw a really big opportunity for digital assets and crypto, since there's a lot of our clients that were involved with it, and also just kind of the overall growing market. And as we continue to explore this opportunity over the span of 2 years, what we discovered was that the whole blockchain ecosystem was very well, it's new, but at the same time, it's very disparate in the way that different projects, different protocols, different blockchains structure their data and report. And so for us, we needed tools that could actually help us to be able to ingest large amounts of data and then be able to include different types of logic. So in our case, since we focused on a tax application, we worked with our Washington national tax experts to come up with proper classifications. And then looking at the data, being able to put that through Alteryx, we were able to create a standardized process to report this information. And so we used Alteryx throughout the entire process. So that's including our prototyping phase, where we just wanted to get buy-in from leadership. So we created really simple workflows that pulled data from one blockchain and showed people what the problem was and the challenges, and then being able to show them an outcome with the reports. And then from there, we've now scaled into basically an enterprise-wide solution where we have various Alteryx workflows. We have a capability of reaching over 100 different blockchains and centralized exchanges. And with all of that, what we're able to do is bring a standardized process to analyze the data that's in the space. And so it's a really revolutionary type of way. And for us, really, we were empowered by Alteryx to be able to do that. I think what really like connects with Alteryx too is like that citizen-led innovation aspect of it. A lot of times you give people the permission and the resources and everything to innovate and come up with solutions, and then that empowers them. And it's the same thing with Alteryx. So you get the license into someone's hands, you give them training around how to build workflows and things like that, and then they're able to take that and come up with unique ways of doing their jobs and everything else. So.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I think the other thing to mention too is just we looked at other solutions out there. Like we didn't just look at Alteryx. We just came to the conclusion that it's the best
Mhm.
way to pull these, because we looked at maybe like a Python only solution, but communicating that it's already difficult enough to like communicate out how we're transforming this data. So using Alteryx, first of all, we're not like computer coding experts, so we don't have like computer science degrees or anything like that. We know the basics, but and we even implement a little in the workflow. But so we mix a little Python along with Alteryx in the workflow, but it's simple compared to like a computer science major. But the other thing is too, we tried other things. We tried an RPA tool one time, but because some people we on our teams we know that they were pulling like from Etherscan and these other block explorers 5,000 pages at a time. So we saw if we build a bot to do this or something like that. But it ultimately, through our testing and all the different technology available, we decided that Alteryx is the best. First, because it's easy to communicate what we're doing. Second, because it's the most effective, and it's a way to connect the data, work within our cloud-based environment that we have at RSM that integrates with all our other technologies. So I just wanted to throw that in there as well.
That's one thing I love about Alteryx too, that it is easier to communicate. And we do even have some new tools out there and coming around using generative AI to summarize and communicate with the workflow summary tool. So I think that's going to continue to improve as well. And when we were talking, preparing for this podcast, I was immediately intrigued by the blockchain data analysis. I've never looked at blockchain, but
Mhm.
I'm curious to hear what you see as the most challenging parts of that.
Absolutely. I think the biggest challenge within the entire like ecosystem within blockchain is the lack of standardization, just because this is such a nascent,
Mm,
new kind of technology that's being adopted. For us, what we've identified, we at least for our use case with RSM Digital Tracker, we separated into two camps. So the first camp is more of like your traditional brick and mortar type of institutions, or I guess brick and mortar might not be the best description, but like your Coinbases, your centralized exchanges like Binance and all these
mhm,
other places where individuals can set up an account and purchase cryptocurrencies. Typically, these exchanges will provide different types of reports, transaction history reports, but their taxonomies and the way that they classify the different types of assets that are being traded or rewarded or received, or any type of interaction kind of differs between them. And then the second camp consists of like pure blockchain service providers, basically like blockchains themselves. And for them, you could think of it as open source software solutions that are out in the market where any developer can go and create an application that is available to the public, and all because blockchain is very open and easily accessible to anyone. All you need is some sort of wallet to allow you to interact with these chains. And so the way that people interact with them and the way that data was generated within these different blockchains also differs greatly across the different chains. So someone could be on a Bitcoin network and have what are called UTXOs for basically the method for how they're tracking transactions. So for example, Megan, I might want to send you like $100 worth of Bitcoin. And when I'm doing this, the wallet will show I'm sending $200 worth of Bitcoin. You receive 100 out of that and then send me back 100. And so the way that the data is presented from Bitcoin blockchain is different from an Ethereum blockchain, where I would send you $100 worth of Ethereum and I would pay a fee, and that's all the information that would be reported. And so because of all these differences, what we identified as a huge opportunity was a way to standardize how this data is being consumed by the end user. And so in our case, our application, RSM Digital Tracker, and also like our services are really focused from a tax perspective. And so from that
Mhm.
perspective, we want to look at the data and say, okay, what actually happened that's relevant from a tax perspective? And so sometimes you might get a transaction when you look at like the raw data from the blockchain, it might involve 1,800 records of data that's in there. But from a tax perspective, there's only maybe 4 data points that are in there that are relevant. And so it's a huge overload of information. And using Alteryx, we're able to easily filter out all of the information based off of criteria that we've identified, and we're able to pull out the information that's necessary. So the $100 worth of Bitcoin I sent you, that's a taxable event, most likely. So we would have to, report that. And so we wouldn't really need to know the fact that you sent back 100 out of that through the UTXO. We just need to know the
Right.
first part. And so that's the power of Alteryx in this space. It's being able to streamline how the data is consumed, how the data is processed, and then also the way we report the data as well.
Well, I think the other important thing to note too is it's necessary. It's essential. The IRS is hiring rapidly in this space because it is, like Alula alluded to, the Wild West. There's a lot of non-standardization. A lot of people don't know what is taxable, what's not taxable. First of all, that's what we're here for. But and that's what we're trying to ultimately figure out for the clients. But we have a lot of people reach out to us because they make all these trades. First of all, they found out, hey, a lot of this is taxable that I didn't realize, and second of all, we're dealing with 18 decimal points, or how many decimal points, Lil? Is it even more than that? I'm trying to remember the number, but either way, it gets very, very finite,
I-
these amounts. And then you have to trace it back to the fair market value at the time of the sale, and that can be a little wonky at times. So there's a lot of really intricate, finicky type things to deal with here. And when you have the IRS start cracking down on it, there needs to be a robust solution, a standardized solution, and that's what we're trying to offer. Because you can see the price of Bitcoin like today. I think went up like above 27,000. But either way, there's a lot of people out there that say digital assets seems like it's just a fad. It's going to go away. Nope, that hasn't been the case in over a decade now. It keeps increasing.
Mhm.
A lot of people reaching us and investing it because, well, at Lula and I, at least, we deal with a lot of partnership taxes. So hedge funds, private equity, a lot of them at least have somewhat of digital assets on their balance sheet in some regard. And when that happens, they need to come to us, process that information to get their correct taxes. So, and the amount of people that reach out to us is increasing. So what we're seeing, at least in the market, is those opportunities, I guess, if you will, are increasing. They're not decreasing. What we're doing is not just like a fun little side project. It's a necessary thing in a growing market.
Yeah, and just to add to that too, I mean, Zach hit it all on point there. In addition to trades, there's also like a concept of rewards
Hmm.
within this space. So, like you can lock up your assets in some sort of pool, and you basically will receive a reward for basically creating some sort of market. So supporting the overall market of individuals that are basically freely buying and selling and trading amongst themselves. And so you'll receive these rewards. And the biggest challenge in this whole ecosystem is there's really very few solutions in the market that actually allow you to track when these rewards are reported or received. And so a tool like
Mm.
Alteryx allows us to easily create types of like amortization type of schedules that allows us to track by the day, by the minute, as these rewards are tracked. And so it's a really large size data. It's a lot of information that's coming in. And so just being able to be nimble, flexible, and to be able to report this information is really valuable for us and for our clients as well.
Thank you both for those insights on blockchain. That's super interesting for me to hear about and for me to learn how you're using Alteryx and just the unique challenges that blockchain data and the industry present with lack of standardization. And yeah, it's really interesting the tools you guys have been able to create so far. I'm sure there'll be a continuing need for more in the future. I'd like to shift course a little bit here and talk about how you see Alteryx used in the accounting industry as a whole. We have accountants on our community. We have people asking whether they're in school or new grads or shifting into accounting. How is technology used? How is Alteryx used? So I'd love to hear your perspective.
Absolutely. Maybe, Zach, we could split this into two parts, like one focusing on accounting within like Web3, which is this blockchain space, and then traditional accounting as well. First off, like both groups really need solutions like Alteryx to streamline how they're working. I think a common challenge a lot of organizations are facing, especially today with the shortage of accountants and resources in the market overall, is how do we do more with less? And I think traditionally with blockchain companies or startups or funds or anyone really involved in this space, the challenges are still consistent across the board. A lot of times, the way that people are actually doing accounting when it comes to reconciliation or bookkeeping or various aspects of their jobs involves spreadsheets. Microsoft Excel has been around longer than probably all three of us have been alive. And so it's an integral part in how people track different types of activities and reporting and various aspects of our day-to-day work. And so a really big opportunity would be leveraging solutions like Alteryx to actually help streamline a lot of processes that are repetitive, that are manual, that are consistent time over time in terms of how people are doing things. And within the blockchain space itself, it's a very large opportunity because a lot of these very futuristic companies still are operating using those same older technologies, Microsoft
Hmm.
Excel spreadsheets. And so adding a powerful tool like Alteryx actually allows individuals within the space to be able to, much more quickly be able to find the answers that they're looking for and to be able to service their clients and their end users' needs as well. And so it's a really big opportunity there. And I know, Zach, you mentioned earlier about your work within our data consulting group as well. So I know you're heavily involved in this space. So I'd love to get your thoughts on that as well.
In my role, data consulting, we deal with a lot of clients that have a lot of unstructured data, or they need to be, I guess, reined in a little bit in terms of how they are structuring their data. Because yes, like Alula mentioned, a lot of Excel still out there. When I like hop on with a client and I hear the word, well, we enter this manually here. I put this here. I copy and paste this here. I guess music to my ears because it's an opportunity for us in the data consulting group. But also like nails on a chalkboard at the same time
Yeah.
because I just don't know how that happens. But especially nowadays. But regardless, I mean, it's vast. It really depends on the client. I mean, some are like sales and use tax, for instance. Some large companies have millions and millions of transactions that they do over the internet or something like that, and you have to take that all in, join it from different SQL databases, which I've done. I think the largest one I did was like 55 million records over a couple months, all these different transactions, and then deciding, okay, this sale happened in this district this time, and it was this item that was sold because different districts have different rules on like electronics or clothes and how they're taxed. But then real estate, a lot of trial balances, a lot of properties that flow up into like a consolidated entity, and how can we identify each of those properties? How can it set a rule for each of those? But in some cases, each of those properties has a different type of data structure to it. So how do we join all these things across all these different entities into one standardized way? Because ultimately, what we're doing is getting from point A to point B. That's what Alteryx is all about, right? Just this big ETL tool. And when you get all this different data that's either structured or wildly unstructured, And with our background of no coding, just accounting degrees out of college, tax compliance to start, and now here we are telling people how to construct their data to get it in. Because I mean, at least at RSM, like I mentioned earlier, we have all these technologies built in the cloud now, and they all talk to each other now. So what that means is that we're trying to get all this data into our environment in a structured way. So basically, we have to make everybody else's data fit within ours so they can leverage all the possibilities that our technologies offer, which is robust, whether it's OCR, anything, partnership, family office, partner site, family site, etc., corporate site. People are getting their data from a lot of different places, but ultimately, as long as it deals with income and expenses or some sort of reporting that is due to the government, then we are there to analyze that data and then transform
Mhm.
it into our cloud-based technologies.
Yeah, that's great. And I think a good place to end would be to hear what advice you both would give to accountants or finance professionals who want to learn Alteryx but don't know where to start.
I would say the first bit of advice I would give someone that is interested in learning, if you're a student, I would say definitely connecting with the Spark ED and kind of the Alteryx community that way. I think it's a huge benefit to academia in general just to have access to this kind of technology. Like most people I know today that are learning Alteryx while in the professional world, a lot of times the common like consensus between everyone is I wish I learned this
Mhm.
earlier, right? It's
Right.
like one of those things like we have a huge emphasis on learning how to use Excel and do formulas in Excel and VLOOKUPs and HLOOKUPs and all these different types of ways of interacting with it, but increasing that capability with ETL would really greatly benefit someone. So I would say, if you're a student and you're curious about Alteryx, definitely check with your campus to see if it's already available, talk to your faculty, anyone within the organizations there to help to get access to it. And then within the professional world, I think regardless what level you're in, I think getting exposure to Alteryx is really a huge benefit. There's various use cases that are available for tax and different functions within business, whether you're in HR, whether you're in finance, whether you're in any different logistics groups or anything like that. There's a lot of benefits there. And I think really download a free copy, try it out. My older brother, he has a business where he's doing transportation for non-medical folks, and he has a very repetitive process where he does his dispatching. And a few years back, I remember sitting with him and saying, hey, you should use Alteryx for this. And the moment I showed him he downloaded a free version of Alteryx and created like a simple workflow for himself, he was like, wow, this is like a huge opportunity because it saves me a bunch of time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and for him, it's completely a different industry,
Yeah.
but that extra time that he saves, that's allowing him to spend more time with his kids, with his family, allowing him to free up his time to be able to do other more value added tasks. And so just really just jumping in and checking it out. And then also the Alteryx community is a huge one. So if you can go online and ask people questions and be able to reference things that people might have asked 5 years ago and it's relevant today because it's some problem that someone came across that you can reference. And so there's just a lot of support there as well.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the college, yes, Spark ED, just reach out to your alumni in the accounting industry because, and this also goes for anybody in the accounting industry. Pretty much every accounting firm I know of, at least the big ones, are using Alteryx in some form or another. Or but if that person isn't, then they know somebody that is because it's just widely used. It helps save a bunch of time for all the use cases I mentioned. Alula mentioned blockchain, non-blockchain. Pretty much if you have data that needs to move one place to another, tricks in the accounting world today is almost essential in a lot of ways. Reach out to your alumni if you're a college student or ask your teacher, hey, why are we not using this on our campus or as part of the curriculum? Challenge your teachers. And then if you, yeah, like Alula mentioned, even if if you're at a small accounting firm or something like that, just get the free trial, learn a few things of what it does, see the power of it, and you'll want more of it soon after that because it is very powerful. It's very easy to pick up and learn and pass on to others what you're doing within it as well.
So I think when we were talking during our planning call, I had mentioned like I think it's been like a year since I did a VLOOKUP or longer because I can do everything I need to do with Alteryx. I can join all the data however I want. I could pull data from different places and be able to make connections. And so it really is an enhancement to overall experience.
That's really awesome. Well, thank you, Lula. Thank you, Zach, for joining me here today. It's been really great to hear from you both about blockchain, about accounting, how you're using Alteryx. It makes me excited for the future possibilities and for people out there who might be struggling along in Excel and in their role and have the opportunity to try out Alteryx. So thank you again for all of your insights.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you taking the time today, Megan. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening. To check out resources mentioned in this episode, like our Sparked program for our students, educators, and career changers, head over to our show notes on community.alteryx.com/podcast. And if you liked today's episode, leave us a review. See you next time.